Hello and welcome to See If It Sticks, the news at Sticks. Live. This is our short form show where we take a piece of news from the week or from previous weeks or even weeks to come.
Future news.
And yes, future news. And riff upon it in a hopefully comedic way. I'm Dom.
I'm Ross.
And I'm Dan.
So today, the day of recording.
Where's Dave?
The Dave of recording. Where are you, Dave? Dave of recording.
Dave, come on in. Come on in.
Today, the day of recording, the day we are recording this, which is the first Monday in February, is National Sickie Day.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Right, okay.
So it is this Monday every year, the first Monday of February, wherever that might fall, is the highest proportion of sickies.
A lot of people are genuinely sick at the moment, though, aren't they? Everyone's walking around going...
Apparently, see, this is what I don't understand. When they do studies into people pulling sickies, they must have had people admit
that
when they pull sickies.
Yeah. Well, I suppose if you do an anonymous study into it, if it's not like your employer saying we're just doing a quick survey, like how many sickies have you pulled in the last year?
Yeah.
Then if it's just an anonymous thing, I mean, I've got no problem admitting that I've pulled sickies in the past.
Yeah, so I mean, I think everyone has at some point.
Oh, of course,
life, right?
yeah.
Once, when I was...
Once he actually went to work while sick.
My 18th birthday, I pulled a sickie on my 18th birthday, which was so obvious. And I'd asked for the day off and they'd said no. And then I rang up in the morning and said, I don't feel well.
I've got a feeling that people are going to be calling in sick today now that they've just heard Dom regurgitate down the microphone.
Yeah, I just realised I burped into the mic.
Yeah, you did.
Lovely.
Sorry, it just came from nowhere. I just had a KFC. It's not sitting well.
That smells too. I can smell the chicken.
Can you smell the herbs and spices?
He'll be with you in just a moment,
12
Ross.
herbs and spices.
Yeah, I can pick out 11 at the moment.
I think it's 11 herbs and spices, isn't it?
Is it 11?
Or is it 7?
I thought it was 18.
I thought it was 12.
Just making numbers up.
I thought it was 10 to the power of... so today is National Sickie Day, so there's been a lot of articles.
So last Monday was National Sickie Day.
Sickie Day, sorry, yeah. There's been a lot of articles online about like the best sickie excuses and such like that. So for instance, let me just get my phone ready. Sorry, I should have had this ready already.
Right.
So this is an article on the Metro.
What do you use, Dan, when you pull a sickie?
A phone usually. Call up and say.
You wrap it in like a duvet or something.
No. Well, I've heard. I'm sure probably that some of this is about to come out in the article, but I have read certain things before, like if you hang your head off the side of your bed and
like backwards.
Yeah, and so you're calling with your head sort of upside down. It makes you sound congested. I've pulled a few sickies in the past, largely when I worked in my previous retail job. Because obviously with that kind of thing, you're a little bit more limited to when you can and can't have time off. Like my job now is very flexible with sort of time off. Like it's very easy where there's only sort of a couple of us in the office. If I need to go and have a dentist appointment or something, I can just say, I'm just going to pop out, go and do it, come back, and make hours up or whatever. The world hasn't ended. Yeah, exactly. But in retail, you have to work to schedules and
I'm
things like
self-employed.
that.
I just don't book anything on that day if I want to have a day off.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, in the past, I've taken time off because obviously Ross and I were in a band together. So there were occasionally times where we had band things going on, and I wasn't allowed time off. In fact, the only reason that it was so infrequent that I did it in my retail job is because I happened to know that if you booked unpaid time off more than 4 weeks in advance, they pretty much had to give it to you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In that particular job, I learned that while I was sort of like a supervisor, and that kind of little piece of information stuck with me, which is how I always got time off when we went on tour and when we went to do important shit, because I would just book it off 4 weeks in advance
as unpaid.
Yeah, often. But I mean, if I did pull a sickie, I tend to go for I sort of tended to go for things that were a little bit out of the ordinary. Like, like how, some people ultimately it's a lie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
And, it's kind of one of those, there seems to be two sort of camps for efficient lying. Like either you have to really kind of make it seem like you either go so zany in your lie that no one could, it seems so unrealistic that it must be true, or you go for like evidence-based lying.
I've been bitten by a rare breed of tarantula.
Yeah, something like that. Like you would have
to be amputated.
You would not believe it. My neighbor down the road has got this snake, and it got out of its cage, and the whole street had to go on lockdown, so I couldn't get out of my house this morning. Blah 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 blah. That something so fucking crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
But then, if I was a boss, I'd be like, okay, that's too crazy not to be true.
Exactly.
Yeah. But then you got the tried and trusted one. Well, the only time I ever pulled a sickie was the stomach bug where I'd been throwing up all morning. Tried and tested, it works, and nobody wants that shit.
Well,
but also the fact that is the one that's always used, so people, even if you had that, people will always assume you're lying.
Yeah, whenever someone phones in and goes, "Oh, I've got a tummy bug, I've been throwing up," even if it's true, you go, "Fucking sneaky."
Well, I think when I've used sort of sickness and diarrhea excuses, I always think that I'm kind of very much of the opinion, and I have told people this before when they've called in a sickie in front of me, that the key to it is being as gross as possible, because no one wants to ask questions about a sickness bug. I think that is the kind of logic behind sickness bug. If you call up and go, "I've been on the shitter all morning, I'm literally pissing shit,"
yeah,
the person on the other end of the phone doesn't tend to go, "Okay, and so when did this start? Like, did you eat anything? Blah 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 blah." Like they kind of they just want to get you off the phone so you stop talking about your shit piss.
That's true.
It's like the South Park, isn't it? It's that piss out of my ass.
Just quick, this is just pulled from an article that pulls from an article on Reddit.
Okay.
The tangled webs we weave.
The
tangled clickbait webs we weave.
Yeah.
And
it's an article within an article.
This was sort of like some Redditor asked a bunch of managers in various different industries what's the best sickie excuse they've ever heard.
Yeah.
And
oh god, if one of mine comes up here,
yeah,
some
bite.
some manager said that a female employee said they couldn't come to work because she had hit a mountain line. This must be in America. Mountain line with her car, and she sent a picture of the mountain line that was hit by a car. In the background of the picture, the landscape was completely unlike any in our surrounding area. And a quick Google image search told us this picture was taken on the other side of the country almost 6 years ago. But apparently he was just sitting there like the Will Ferrell meme, not even mad, just impressed. Not even mad, I'm just impressed.
Yeah, that is good though.
That is a good one, right? That's like probably the most outrageous.
That's like Snake getting out.
Yeah.
But my question to you, although you guys have shared a few, I'm just wondering, and you've apparently only done it once.
Yeah.
Which I don't believe. But then again, you've not worked in retail for very long, because when you're in retail, sickies are a necessity.
I don't have days, even if I'm ill, I don't have days off. So if I'm booked in for work, so if I want to pull a sickie, I just don't go to work. Or if I particularly want a day off, I'll just ring up and go, "Is there any chance you could get someone else to do that job? Because I don't want to do it." And normally they're pretty good, and they sort it out for me. So I've never had to really pull a sickie. And then when I am sick, I just go into work. When I was in Egypt, I don't know if I told you about this. I was very, very unwell. I drank poo water, basically.
You drank the tap
unsanitary tap water. Yes, I inadvertently didn't realise that the orange juice was from concentrate at the breakfast.
Always a party in Ross's job.
Oh, and I was
poo water shots,
pooing the most violently that I've ever pooed in my life.
Oh my!
And I have stomach issues anyway. When I'm allergic to a few foods that make me poo liquids. I went in the next morning to work, and I didn't even have the energy to get up a ladder. I had to have someone kind of help me up to do stuff, and I was just white as a sheet.
God, I hope they helped you from above.
Yeah,
pulling you up the ladder instead of pushing you.
Yeah. I took so much Imodium, nothing came out of me for about 2 weeks.
Ooh, lordy.
But that was, and it's like in Dumb and Dumber, where he's on the toilet, he's going, oh, like that. That's what I was doing. I'm holding onto the sink, going, oh my God, will it never end? And I was up all night. I didn't sleep at all because I was a bit scared I was going to shit the bed.
It sounds a bit over the top to me, Dom. It sounds like
it's not real.
Yeah,
sounds like.
I'll tell you what. Next time I take a picture.
I was just thinking, what are your most inventive excuses / most outrageous, most unbelievable?
I'll tell you what. I'm willing to admit this now. I probably wouldn't have been willing to admit it a couple of years ago, just in case there was any chance that I was going to end up back in my retail job with my previous manager, who I will go out here and say that I'm not going to name him, but I did really get on with. I don't actually think he was in on this particular day.
You took him for a mug, Dan.
No, I don't think he was actually in on this particular day. But as I said, like going just a little bit sort of like OTT, just sort of like past the point where you're giving the necessary information. Obviously, as you two will know, many people who are listening to the podcast may not know, is that I have had some sort of ongoing back problems.
You said I'm a handsome ongoing back problem.
No, handsome. I'm a handsome.
I'm a handsome ongoing back problem.
Yeah, I had to get off work to do a handsome back problemed mail shoot.
Yeah.
The back issue calendar 2014.
Ooh.
So I've had some ongoing back issues.
Yes.
Which all stems from the fact that I fractured my coccyx when I was a teenager, and I did it twice, and I couldn't really sit down very well for best part of a year and a half. So my back has suffered. It's a lot better now, actually. It doesn't sort of crack when I get up from work in the morning. But working in my old job as a baker, there was sort of a lot of leaning in very awkward positions, and it kind of did not help.
Exacerbate?
It did. I wouldn't say it exacerbated it. It was kind of just like one of those things that it never got better while I was at Sainsbury's, and now that I do my current job, it is much better. But that's
is that because your back doesn't have to take your weight for 9 hours a day?
Probably, yeah. But basically, I can't remember actually what it was that I needed the time off for. But I really needed the time off, and I couldn't get the time off. And so what was going on at the time is that my dad was at that time building the extension, which is now on our house. And a couple of days before, we had done like the concrete pour.
Right, yeah.
And so I was out there, like a lot of the work that we've done on the house over the years, just sort of helping. They poured the concrete in, and we had to bring it in bloody wheelbarrows because we had already had part of an extension built and blah blah blah. And so they were just sort of chucking in wheelbarrows, and then Dad and I were just sort of in the hole, leveling it with shovels and that sort of thing. And at one point, I had my foot in the concrete, and I went to stand up on the bank, and my foot got stuck, and I kind of stumbled and fell back onto the other side of the bank. It was sort of like I suppose it was about 3/4 of a meter sort of gap, and it was just a bit of a stumble. And for some reason, this was in my mind when I went in to do this sickie, and I saw the supervisor, who was at on the bakery at the time. And so I kind of like hobbled into the supermarket buying conspicuously buying like some painkillers or stuff like that.
Anti-inflammatories.
Yeah, and I sort of waddled over to her, and I told her that what had happened is that we were doing a concrete pour, and went into really graphic detail of how a concrete pour is done, and that I had my foot in it, and like sort of, you had to have your foot in it because you were sort of down there to level it all out. And I went to move, and my foot didn't quite come out, and so I basically twisted round and wrenched my back, and I was on my way to the doctors. That was probably the most over the top one, because I was there for about 20 minutes explaining the logistics of pouring concrete into
Did you
some
walk out like a
foundations.
pregnant lady as well afterwards? Because I remember my dad's back used to go. He used to almost walk like a pregnant lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to put his hand on his knee to get up the stairs and stuff.
Yeah, I sort of used to go for, if I was going to do a back-related excuse, I would kind of go for like a painful shuffle.
Yeah.
Almost like I didn't want to move.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that was probably the most the most over the top one. But you saying that lady sent in a picture, I will tell you what, there is without going into detail of the geography of on my way to my old place of work, there is sorry?
I think that would probably be good.
There's a bridge that goes underneath a train track, right? And in this tunnel, it is quite prone to flooding. The drains often get blocked there because it's kind of the paths on either side of it go downhill. So leaves get swept in, particularly when it's raining a lot. And it's quite prone to flooding. And sometimes this tunnel can flood sort of up to about half a foot kind of thing. And what I did was that, because if you went that way, it was an extra probably 30 minutes onto your journey to the shop. And I didn't always drive to work. So sometimes if I just needed an excuse, my car would go into the garage handily at that time. And I have had on my iPhone, a picture of this tunnel flooded for years, right? And occasionally, if I ever needed it, what I would do is, because I know that obviously sometimes, you can kind of see when a photo is taken sometimes, and I don't know what kind of how technically able people who are. So I would take a screenshot of it and crop it.
Yeah, and then send it again.
So that it'd be a brand new photo.
So devious then.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very devious.
What about you, Dom?
I think the most ridiculous one I've ever done was when I worked at a supermarket.
Yeah, mum's supermarket as well.
Long time ago. And I'd been out the night before with Dan, because when we were younger, we were like 4-night-a-week guys.
Yeah.
Drinking out, and it sort of got back. When you get back about sort of midnight, 1 a.m, you're sort of good for the next morning. But we got back at 4 that night. And I woke up and I was just still absolutely steaming. I just rang in and said, "I'm really drunk. See you later." And put down the phone.
Yeah.
Honesty is the best policy.
But the thing is, I stayed in that job for 4 years, and I must have done that loads of times, and I never got fired.
I went into work high once. And,
I've been into work drunk.
I walked in, and one of the other people who worked there just kind of looked at me and went, "Are you high?" "No." They were like, "You best stay away from the knives today, I think."
God, I remember on I think it was my 19th birthday. At the time, my bakery manager was this guy called Nick, and he really liked a drink. Every day, just as he finished work, he used to go and buy, you can get those 3-litre bottles of cider.
Oh, yeah.
Those big ones. He would go Sainsbury's own brand.
Cheap
oh
shit
my
as well,
God. The gut rot stuff.
Yeah, he used to go and buy 2 bottles of that, right? And then what he would do is he'd have one in the fridge. So he'd get home and he'd get 1 bottle out of the fridge, put 1 bottle in the fridge.
Oh, so it's constantly cooling.
Yeah. Yeah. So then he'd drink the cooled bottle and then the newly cooled bottle, and then he'd put the second one that he bought that day in the fridge so that he could have it the next day when he got home.
That's alcoholism.
No comment.
Yeah.
He liked to drink, and I'm sure it must have been
6 litres.
He needed a drink, I think.
Yeah. Maybe it was my 18th birthday.
No, they were 3 litre each, the bottles.
Yeah.
So 6 litres a day.
Oh yeah.
That is fucking insane. I couldn't even drink that much liquid if someone gave me £1 million.
I tell you what, right? I'm not really in contact with the guy these days, but I could do an entire year's worth of podcasts on that man. He was so fucking funny. Some of the stories he would tell you, he was a right old boy.
Yeah.
But it must have been my 18th or 19th birthday. I'm sure it must have been my 19th. And there's a pub right next to the supermarket that I used to work in. And Nick said to me that we would go for lunch together and we would go to the pub. And you could, in Sainsbury's, obviously there's all the different times and you can have breaks and that. If you work more than 4.5 hours, you're entitled to a 15-minute break. More than 7 hours, you get a half an hour, isn't it? Something like that. Or you could, if you worked 8 hours, you could either work 8 hours and take a 30-minute break, or 2 15-minute breaks, or you could work 9 hours but have an hour's lunch break and 2 15-minute tea breaks. And I always used to opt for the half-hour break, paid, get out an hour early, but it would be an hour kind of thing. And he said, well, we're going to clock out this time. It was a Saturday, and we had like actual... I was the supervisor at the time and he was the bakery manager, and we had actual like proper managerial work to do. We had to do the count, like the stock count and stuff like that. And we went, he said, we're going to clock out and I'm going to take it to the pub and buy you a slap up meal. And I was like, oh, cheers. So we clocked out at like dead on 12 o'clock. We were
standing by the clocking out machine.
Yeah. We literally went down there. We got
every little queue at the clocking out machine, waiting for it to click over.
We got everything sorted. The thing was, it's miserable working on your birthday, and it was a bit of an incentive for me. So I sort of like went out of my way to get a shitload of work done in the morning. He was quite eager to get down to the pub, I think, as well. So we basically just went like the two of us, which is sort of very rare to do. Like, and we just tackled each job 1, 2, 3, 4. Just went along. We both did it. So just to cut down all the time. So we finished most of the work for the day. And we went round to the pub and we both got like a beer and burger. And then he went and bought a couple more beers. And then he went and bought a couple more beers. I must have sunk. We were there and we ended up being away for about an hour and a half. He bought me about probably 6 beers, a couple of Jack and Cokes and this meal. And I was just drinking to keep up, basically. I just kind of thought, I
don't even try with people like that. I just go, there's no point in me. You just have another one.
I just thought...
I'm just going to sit here and just enjoy this.
Yeah, well, I kind of thought, if we're not going back to work, then that's fine. I'll sit here and I'll just keep drinking with him. And eventually, he was like, oh, God, we've been gone for like, an hour and a half, 2 hours. We had to go back. I was pickled. I had to go into the freezer to count some of this stuff up. And I was like, goodness me, I couldn't focus properly. He lived about 40 miles away. He drove home.
Oh, my God.
It was ridiculous. I had to walk home. I abandoned...
That's proper alcoholism, that is. You don't think you're drunk.
I abandoned my car. Like, it was like, I've never really been the person who drinks and drives. Like, I might have a pint or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't even do it when I have a pint.
But like, I went down to the checkouts and was buying chewing gum. And one of the ladies that I used to work with on the checkouts came over to me and she said, I saw you go to the pub at lunchtime. And I was like, yeah. She was like, you're not driving home, are you? And I was like, well, we had a few, but it was a few hours ago. And she was like, you're not driving home. And I kind of just looked her in the eye, and she was sort of a bit of an older lady. And I thought, oh God, this could just be my mother now. And I was like, no, I'm not driving home. So yeah, I put my fucking coat on, I had to walk down there. And would you bloody believe it? On my walk back the next day, the fucking tunnel was flooded.
Oh my God!
Would you believe that photo appeared?
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
National Sickie Day. If you pulled a Sickie last week, well done. If you're pulling a Sickie today, well done.
Your secret is safe with us.
We want to hear your best Sickies. Tell us your best
Actually,
Sickies.
you tell us your best Sickies, Sickie excuses, so we've got them in the bag. We'll say that now. We've all got grown up enough jobs now that we don't need to pull Sickies.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's the news that sticks this week. If you want to get in contact with us, go to stickypod.com. Find all the links to our social media pages there. Send an email to flickit@stickypod.com. We want your Sickie excuses, problems, anything at all, any reason you want to get in contact with us, please do. We always enjoy seeing what people think and why they're listening. For the news that sticks this week, I'm Dom.
I'm Ross.
And I can't make it to the outro this week because there's a Satanistic ritual going on down the end of my road and I'm too scared to walk past.
What's happening?
They're burning effigies, mostly.
What kind of effigies?
Virgin women.
Oh. You'll be all right.
Fine.
Get into work.
I'll see you in a bit.